This is Mayor Ron Anders with the Mayor's Minutes from the Auburn City Council meeting on August the 4th, 2020. We began our meeting last night by having a moment of silence in the memory of Johnny Lawrence, our local county commissioner who passed away this past week due to the COVID-19 virus. There's been a lot said about Johnny since last Friday night. I certainly want to remind our community what a great servant he was to many of us and what an example Johnny's life was to those of us who want to make our community better. Johnny did that by his time and his effort. He had a great personality and a wonderful sense of humor. Our prayers are with his family, and Johnny will be missed, and he'll be very difficult to replace. Also had a couple of comments last night in my mayor's comments. I wanted to remind everybody that we are working with our university and our athletic department as we evaluate what game days will look like here at Auburn. There's a lot of uncertainty. We do know that the prospect of starting our season on September the 26th has been announced. We do know that there will be less home games than is currently on our schedule. And so it's incumbent upon us as city leaders to try to make sure that we do all that we can to create a safe atmosphere so that if visitors want to come to our community, they feel like that they'll be received well and it'll be a safe place for them to enjoy their time. And I remind our community how important these visitors are to Auburn's economy and to Auburn's businesses. So we'll be having those discussions with downtown merchants, with the Chamber of Commerce, with Auburn's athletic department and Auburn University officials about what game weekends will look like here in Auburn as we move forward. Football is very important economically to our city, and many of you already realize that. And so we will try to do the best we can to make the best of a difficult situation. I reminded everybody that Auburn University has created a new plan called A Healthier You, that many of you will be seeing information and logos and signage and branding regarding here as we approach the beginning of Auburn University classes. This is Auburn University's efforts to make sure that their students and their faculty and staff are reminded again of all the habits that we want to institute and make a part of our daily lives. It's also their way of trying to incorporate all the citizens of the city and all the businesses and institutions of the city to have them on board, that we're all sending the same message to everybody that's living in Auburn, that these are the best ways to keep our community as safe as possible. So I applaud Jason Peavy for his leadership and all the people within Auburn University that came together to promote this. And we look forward to working with them to message this out over the next couple of weeks as we get ready to start our fall, hopefully in a safe and productive fashion. One conversation is part of the One Auburn Mayor's Initiative that we started here earlier this summer, and our first conversation will be filmed here in the near future. And I'm proud that Bishop Nolan Tolbert, a fixture in our community for many, many years, he has been a local pastor for a number of years and has served in different committees in the city of Auburn, including the Housing Authority, for a long time. Will be our first guest, and I look forward to having a robust and rich conversation with Bishop Tolbert here in the near future, and we'll include that on all the city social media so that any of you can watch this. And then once the COVID-19 hit, the governor asked us in her order to do the minimum as far as conducting the business of the city to keep our city going or to respond to COVID-19 because our meetings were held through Zoom. And this was just really her message to us to try to be as available to our community as possible during discussions and debates over real deep issues. And so our task force have been studying student housing and short-term rentals for the last year. These are discussions and decisions that need to be made with a lot of public input, and really in the best case scenario would be made in a live public meeting. What we don't know right now is when we're going to get back to live public meetings. And so we have been meeting through Zoom now since the last meeting in March. And I believe it's time for us to put these back in our work plan and begin working on the determinations as to how this city wants to conduct its decision making regarding the future of student housing and how this city wants to put policy around short-term rentals. And we've got to get started back again with all the good work that was done with the task force, and we will hand this off now to the Planning Commission and they will begin their discussions. But we've had to put this on the shelf for the time being, but we feel like now it's important for our community for us to restart those conversations. And along with that is Auburn 2040, which was my initiative for an Auburn strategic plan for the next 20 years. It would be led by the citizens and supported by the staff. And we were to begin that in April with a kickoff, and 8 different committees of about 20 to 25 citizens would be meeting right now, all through the summer, putting together different types of strategic plans that we would eventually adopt as a city council for Auburn's future plan. As we did with student housing and short-term rentals, we shelved Auburn 2040 once the COVID-19 pandemic hit, because obviously we weren't going to bring multiple groups of people who are not related, who do not live in the same house or in the same family together in an awkward situation to discuss the future of our community. My plan right now would be to restart that in 2021. I do not feel like that it's in our best interest for us to try to do that this fall. Things are still very uncertain. I hope as we move into the next calendar year that the opening will be there and our world will be a safer place and Auburn 2040 can occur. So those of you who have signed up and that are interested, I would ask you to stay tuned, and we will announce a plan of action here in the future. But more than likely, Auburn 2040, the planning for that will occur in the year of 2021. On to our agenda last night. Under City Manager's Communications, we announced a board vacancy for the West Pace Improvement District. This vacancy, this term begins on September 16th of 2020 and will end on September 15th of 2026. So it is a 6-year term. The appointment will be made at our first meeting in September. Under the consent agenda, we approved an alcohol beverage license for Gas Express, which will be at 1684 South College Street. The council approved 2 taxpayer waiver requests, one for the connection and one for Sons Ford. These are first-time requests, and as we have traditionally done, the City Council extends these waivers for first-time situations. These have been good corporate partners for many years, and so we're happy to help them get back on track here. With contracts and agreements, we approved an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation to provide lighting and landscaping on exit 50 on I-85, and we're very excited about this. This is Auburn's newest interchange, but is also, I would say, somewhat dangerous because it's dark at night there, and this is certainly a safety mitigation effort, and we appreciate AlDOT joining us. AlDOT will cover 80% of this, and the City of Auburn will cover 20%. I congratulate Chief Tommy Dawson, who lives nearby and has been promoting this need for many, many years, and now it will be taken care of. So we look forward to those lights being put up and for that landscaping to be done. The city approved, last night the City Council approved a contract with D&J Enterprises for the FY20 street resurfacing project. There are about 8 different streets that you can look at, and if you go back to the City Council agenda, you can see those at auburnalabama.com. But this is a determination that our city engineers and our public works department make each and every year about what roads need to be resurfaced, and we allocate money to do that on an annual basis. City Council approved a contract with Hudman Construction for an emergency repair of a culvert located on Farmville Road at the Preserve Lake. This is a very difficult situation that is deteriorating as we speak. There is a sinkhole that has been formed there, and it needs to be repaired immediately. This is going to cause an issue for people who are used to having a certain way of getting back and forth to work, getting back and forth to schools, getting back and forth to the City of Auburn. You're going to have to reroute those plans here for the next couple of months, but we have no choice but to get this fixed as fast as possible. City Council approved a contract with Auto Environmental Systems for almost $25,000 for 560 95-gallon rollout carts. These are your green trash carts that many of us use. Some of these will be used to replace old and worn out rollout carts. Some of these will be for new customers and new citizens here in Auburn. City Council approved a contract with $22,000 to train 5 of our new police officers at the Northeast Alabama Law Enforcement Academy. And we approved a development agreement with AuburnBank, which will cover some of the expense of redoing the landscaping, the streetscaping, benches and lights there on the sidewalk and the street on Gay Street and Magnolia Avenue in front of the new AuburnBank redevelopment. And again, we're excited about AuburnBank's redevelopment of their campus here in downtown Auburn. We believe it'll be an exciting new addition to our downtown, and we appreciate their investment in downtown Auburn and in the City of Auburn. Under ordinances, the City Council approved a franchise agreement with Southern Light to maintain a fiber network service. This will be focused strictly on commercial customers. This will not be residential, and it will have a very, very small footprint initially, but certainly we hope that they grow and potentially can offer their services to other commercial customers, but they will not be offering their services to residential customers. And finally, the City Council approved a rezoning of almost 134 acres from rural to development district housing at 1950 Martin Luther King Drive. This is a second reading from our meeting 2 weeks ago. This will be a neighborhood that will be developed out off Highway 14, and we had a rich discussion about this. There have been a number of meetings between the HOA at the Solomere subdivision and the city. There's been a meeting between the city and the developer's engineer, and we're certainly talking to AlDOT about the needs and the concerns of developing this neighborhood. We want the citizens to know that we are working actively in engaging AlDOT, engaging the engineer of this developer to make sure that this development goes off in the safest, most appropriate way possible that respects all the wishes and needs of the citizens that live nearby. City Council also approved a rezoning of 4 acres from rural to commercial comprehensive development district. This is at 2202 Martin Luther King Drive, and this will be for commercial use. So in the future, you could potentially see some types of commercial uses right there on Highway 14, Martin Luther King Drive. And that ended our City Council meeting last night on August the 4th, 2020. We hope you have a good week. Thanks.